Hello, I'm Adam Smith. I'm going to talk to you about a psychosis. I went to college for 2 years and got into drug use, and I did sort of quite a lot of drugs, cannabis mainly, drinking, and some pills and some cocaine. And I did that for about a decade, and it then started to become a very noticeable problem when I started to act a bit differently. And I became disorientated and confused in myself, and started to do different strange things. And one of them was to get in my car, leave my work, just walk out of work, just too stressed out to do work, and just walked out, didn't tell anybody, got into my car and drove up to see a friend in Bristol who I knew. And was completely convinced that I was psychic, and then left him after having a cigarette, and left and went and had food, and then became completely distressed and drove straight up into past Northampton and Dartmoor, and just parked up the car, got out of the car, and started wandering around, and was completely lost and confused, didn't know where I was, and completely disorientated, and eventually stumbled across a couple of houses and asked me for help. I was completely confused by this thing, and they realised I was stressed, called the police, came and picked me up, identified me, called my parents, who then came and picked me up from the local police station, which I did, and basically got me into hospital, where I became quite aggressive and left, just walked out, couldn't deal with it, and eventually ended up walking back home again. Next day the crisis team were called, and the crisis team said that I was suffering from acute psychosis, brought on by heavy and expensive drug use. And I was completely and utterly confused and disorientated and quite frustrated as well, because people weren't spending the time to actually sit down and talk to me. It was very short conversations. It was very, 10, 15 minutes of conversation, which I didn't feel at the time was long enough. I wanted to actually have a proper conversation that wasn't restrained by time. And every doctor and nurse or crisis team member I talked to was always limited by time. I'll be only here for 15 minutes. Which I don't think is long enough. I would like to see longer periods of time whereby professionals, doctors, nurses spend a great amount of time talking to patients, because I think it's quite important that the patients treated as a person should be allowed time to talk and communicate with their doctors, as diagnosis of things will be far more accurate for a start, far more depth. As a doctor, you'll be able to gain far more information, spend far more time talking to the person who's experiencing any kind of problem. Because the problem is that if your problem has been going for a long time, you spend time talking to somebody about it. And that was quite frustrating, trying to talk to people who hadn't got time. And they brought in part of the frustration to drug use, which is obviously the problem. Gaining the drugs was the problem. The effect of the drugs on me was the problem. Anyway, the crisis team was called. The crisis team decided that they were going to send me up to Exeter for a day, having a day out in Exeter. And I went up on the train in diagnosed psychotic state. I went up to Exeter, and that was fine on the train. Too distressing. Attempted to do some shopping in Virgin Megastore, and they appeared to be expecting me. The chap said, "Oh, hi, hello, is there any way I can help you today?" They all were very helpful staff, and there's going to be a team there to help me out. It's very useful. Fortunately, one of the chaps put a basket full of stuff next to another chap to ask me to start cutting through whilst I looked for another couple of CDs. And as the chapter material was processing in my brain, another member of staff started giving the same items back and said, that's what he's doing. He said, like, you can't afford it. He said, oh, was able to afford purchases. And he got quite aggressive and banned him from the store. So another chap came along with the abuse and said, alright, I'm part of the team looking after you. It's okay, just go up to H and B. So everybody said, okay, we'll move up to H and B and look after you there. So that's what I did. I went out, walked slowly on the road, and stopped, needed to sit down. So I sat down. I happened to sit down very close to almost directly underneath the security camera. And at which point a woman walked up with the clipboard, flanked by two male police officers. She asked me, hello Adam, are you okay? Is there any help needed? Which I thought was rather unusual, and then I absolutely fine, just got for arrest as I'm heading into HMB, which is a medical secretary who waiting for you up to HMB. Unfortunately, I decided to get a little freaked out by this because, like I said, Scotland's hard work, people are acting strangely around, or appear to be acting strangely around you, whilst you're acting strangely using. So I decided to wrap it up. I went and brought myself a cigar, sat down beside myself with a cigar. Everybody was, certainly more relaxed. People were being happy, friendly. Some people didn't like smoking a cigar. They were saying, oh, that was being, a bit strange, or a bit powerful, or a bit different, or a bit nice. Everybody started being a bit more relaxed about it, so I decided to go home. I bought some shopping, clothes shopping. I got into a shop where my cousin works, and got a couple of clothes and carried a bag of clothes back to the train. And I decided to walk, and as I was walking back, so I get on the bus, and I asked the bus to take me to St David, the drug city, and he ended up taking me to a completely different train station. I got off and realised it was a different train station, so I walked away, and I noticed a BMW who looked an absolute exact one from my dad. So I happened to walk by thinking, oh, that's the unusual looking, he's coming to pick me up. Walked over to the window, came out. He says, hi, how can I help you? So it's okay, all you've got to do is the chap that drives it. He said, no, I'm just going to go back onto the train station and it'll be fine. So I went to walk back to the train station thinking I could get a train. And the car suddenly zoomed off. Wheels spinning, wheels fast driving. So I kind of followed him. And he dropped off three other passengers. They all hid. And they all suddenly came out, and one of the chaps said to me, he said, I thought you were going to kill us. So aggressive. I said, no, I'm just trying to find my way back to St David. He said, fine, not a problem. So he pointed me in the right direction, told me to get there. And I eventually went to St David. It was quite tired, but it was quite like a day. And I sat down. Didn't think anything more of it. And all the trains started pulling in and stopping and being cancelled. And one or two did it, didn't think much of it. And then two more, a couple more, a few more, and lots of trains were being cancelled. And a couple of young ladies were on the train station and started crying, getting emotional, phoning people up and saying how much they love me. Oh, I wish you could be here, I wish you could help, etc. and get very emotional. And I realised there was something going wrong. There was something not quite right. Lots of cancelled trains, lots of emotional people, praying people. So I ran over the bridge and went and bought a bottle of Coke for £1.50. And the chap who served me said, what just went on? And his mate was saying next to me, I don't know, it's just really weird. Something's happened, I can't really remember what it was. So I went back onto the platform after going to the shop, and it all came back to normal. as if nothing could really happen. All the trains were restarted and started operating all the train services, and all people were calm, cool again. So as we got onto the new train, a female hockey team who had been getting unemotional suddenly started claiming I was a hero. So taking pictures of me and giving me kisses and things like that. I was a hero. And got home, and I was still very, quite distressed. And they decided that it hadn't gone that well, unsurprisingly, and that I should be hospitalised. So I was given a choice between going in by consent or voluntarily, which really wasn't, because the alternative was that I was C-section. I'm not sure that qualifies as a choice. Anyway, the first 4 days I was really rather angry to be in quite an unpleasant situation, and I felt quite unpleasant. Fortunately, I was able to talk to some doctors, talk to some patients, talk to other people. It's rather nice to be in a situation where other people are kind of going through difficulty. I find that exceptionally useful to be able to spend time talking with other people who are finding themselves in a very difficult situation. I was in there for about 3 weeks, and after the first week it seemed to get a lot better. I spent time meditating in the bath. That was very useful. I organised a nice warm bath, spent an hour in there just submersing myself in the water and meditating, and listening to all the pipe work in the building. The heating system was quite large, and to be able to listen to the heating system gargle away seemed to be quite therapeutic. It was almost as the building was making some kind of lively noise as if to say something. And that felt quite meditative to just be able to listen to that, remain calm, and that seemed to help. And talking to other patients, and my regular medical notes, and I seemed to become more cooperative and more pleasant just from simply meditating and talking to people. When I left, I was still somewhat psychotic, mildly, but still slightly confused. I found the medication very difficult to swallow because I didn't seem to be given any information about what medication I was expected to take. Got almost none, not even. Very rarely I was even given a name for medication, which oddly enough made it very hard to find out about side effects. Side effects of the olanzapine I was given was excessive weight gain, regardless of how much exercise or how much I ate. I could eat a good lettuce leaf and put on a stone in weight. I put on about 2.5 to 3 stone before I said that I was going to stop the medication. So one of the other side effects is diabetes, and I didn't fancy getting diabetes, so I'd rather have the psychosis than diabetes. So I stopped medication with no unpleasant side effects. Like I said, but by the time I'd taken enough medication, it seemed to solve the worst of the psychosis, and through the use of meditation, I was able to deal and maintain any problems. Fortunately, I was given a CPN, a psychiatric nurse team, which was very useful. The chap who did it, my psychiatric nurse, which I found very useful, very supportive, very talkative, and he put in a RAP as a wellness recovery action plan. I'd heavily recommend that everyone does this, regardless of the situation. But get yourself a psychiatric nurse and fill in a RAP plan with them. They'll help guide you through your RAP plan. You fill it in, and it helps with daily maintenance of things you need to do every day to keep yourself well, ways of keeping yourself well, exercise plans, food, things you like to eat, give yourself a treat, just a cup of tea or a small bar of chocolate. I think it's important that you treat yourself, and that you follow a RAP plan, and that you work very hard to build up a team around you, and make sure you have friends to talk to, and that you work with this part of the team who helps you be talkative and socialise again. So I think a lot of social contact is hard, and you need to spend time talking to people. I find that exceptionally useful part of my story.